And then just to get a sense of what a mentor is, it's like someone that with more experience, helping like someone that kind of can benefit their wisdom and their insight and their resources through a process of kind of mutual exploration. And then today, the idea is we're going to be building skills around supporting your mentee, and then also getting greater understanding of learning and supporting relationships and learning more about yourself as an adult mentor. So as you kind of get a sense of what's going to be happening today, I think this is a really important part, is that the learning that happens, you're learning a set of skills to be able to be a mentor, but that it also speaks to your own experience of being mentored and what it is for you to be an adult mentor. So it's also a nice exploration of yourself and your own inner journey as well. And that's just another way of understanding the equipped journey, about engaging in conversations with each other, learning new questioning techniques, open questions, closed questions, how to get clarity and understanding as you kind of deepen the exploration about what the real issues are with your mentee. And then also to be able to imagine possibilities in the future, and then also being able to learn how to plan. And then in that process, you even assist your mentee to be able to get that skill about how do you organize your life, how do you plan to step into something new. Like I'm really flying through this. Okay, I feel like I'm giving too much information, so I'm going to go forward. All right, okay. So what I'm going to do is just maybe just to take a moment as we start off on this journey together, and we talk about engaging and building the container. And as you look at the slide, it's almost, it depicts the different kinds of elements that are needed to be able to build a place where you can engage with your mentee. So these are kind of elements that we've come up with over the years, like be purposeful. So as you're working with your mentee, you get a sense of, you need to know that you're going in a particular direction. So it's not just simply a hanging out with the mentee and becoming friends. There's an element of just like holding a purpose, but then holding it lightly. So it doesn't become constricting. It allows you to somehow engage with the flow and the direction of what the possibilities are without like handicapping them. But it is important to hold that sense of being purposeful. And then so I invite you even now, and just now we'll think about how we're going to hold that purpose as a group. Then listen deeply. And so part of really building a container where people can feel safe and held and that have a sense of belonging, if people listen deeply, it like kind of resonates throughout the entire group, because it kind of, when people listen deeply, there's a stillness that happens, not a silence. There's a stillness where people are kind of connecting with their bodies, and they're allowing to feel the impact of the words that they're hearing. They feel it in their hearts, they feel it in their bodies, and they notice what excites them, what increases the levels of energy. So the building a container is like, if people listen deeply, it actually deepens the holding of the container. And then obviously suspending judgment. And I love the way it's like, we all know being judgmental shuts things down, but it's also being open to possibility. So even if you might have heard something before and thinking, oh, I know that, it doesn't matter. But if you just like suspend that judgment and you're just open to the possibility of hearing it in a different way, sometimes that can also be quite helpful. I just noticed there's a chat. Okay, that's fine. And then bring your creativity. So ECL is all about creativity. But I must say, it's not about being a great artist. Creativity is something that happens when people come together and they're able to kind of connect into the collective wisdom of the group. And then something new is created. So bring your creativity. So it's like, bring your potential to bring something new into the world. And really, like, if you just imagine to yourself for a moment, wow, today I'm going to create something that has never existed before. And if you just allow that thought to resonate and you acknowledge the power of creativity and the pleasure that we get when we create something new. And then another part of the container is seeing the whole. So what we really encourage is people not to look at, like, focusing on the problem, but rather like pull the lens back a little bit and seeing the problem in the context of where it's coming from. So when you see the whole, you see, even now when you look at this image of the beads all connected, and if you just focus on see the whole, it almost becomes meaningless. But if you just allow yourself to pull back a bit, and then you see the interconnectedness of all these elements, something else happens. And then obviously respect confidentiality. I've been working also with like all kind of information, personal, sensitive information. But it's interesting. It's not just, it's like respecting confidentiality. So when you respect something, you hold it in high regard. And you're also wise with confidentiality. So often you'll find when you're talking with the girls, certain things might come up that you would have to kind of manage, but you manage them in a way that you still respect the confidentiality of what you've heard. So it might be speaking about it without mentioning names, or it might be saying to the person, what you've just told me is something I can't manage and I need to speak to somebody else. So you're still respecting that confidentiality. And then obviously the last one is like be present. And that's the key to raising awareness. So I know often being present is sometimes the most difficult thing, especially in a Zoom meeting or even at work meetings, because being present, there's so many other demands that pull you away to attend to other different things around you. So it's really kind of being present is a challenge, and it's a bit of a skill. So that's building the container. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. That's nice. Okay. So as we step into this space of engaging and building the container. So right now, if I've said to you, if you had to kind of describe the container that we have right now as a group of people, I would say it would be quite a leaky container. It wouldn't hold much because it's not built yet. It doesn't exist. We, at the moment, are just kind of individuals logging on and you're listening to me talk. So it's like, there's no holding. And so when you start engaging with your mentees, the most important thing is to attend to the connection that you have with your mentees. Establish rapport. And it takes time, and there's a skill. And sometimes even when you start the journey with your mentee, you might not even do any mentoring whatsoever. You might just spend time just building this bond, building this connection so that they feel that they can be open and available to you. So as we begin our journey of creating the container and engaging, one of the ways of engaging is like let's hear your voices. So a nice way is to kind of start with what we traditionally would call like an icebreaker or some kind of easy way of just letting people share something about themselves that's not threatening. So even if I said to you, if you could, like, everybody just takes a moment and just thinks to themselves, okay, what did I have to stop doing today to be able to be available and present for this conversation? And then when I'm going to ask you for somebody to start, so like say, for instance, Pussy, if you began, it's like, okay, this is what I had to stop today to be here. And then when you've shared that with us, and then you can maybe say, okay, I can nominate Carmen to go next. And then Carmen would nominate somebody else. So this is a nice way of kind of getting everybody to have a voice. So Pussy, if you would.
Thank you so much, Ray. Good morning, everyone. So what I had to stop today, I had to reschedule my calendar and move some of the meetings so that I make time to be available today. So that's what I had to do. yeah, thank you. I nominate Nikki.
Thanks, Busy. Hi, Raymond. Yeah, so for me, it's projects and yeah, an extensive amount of other functional work that I've got to do. So yeah, I select Andrea.
For me, it was all about being able to shut out the rest of the world today, which is difficult when you've got multiple screens open and messages and calls and things happening, but it's a conscious effort to try and do so.
Thank you. And who would you like to nominate?
I'm going to nominate Marge.
Thanks, Andrea. Hi, everybody, and Raymond. For me, it's probably everything that everybody has said, really. Clear my calendar, shut out everybody, stop all the project work and every other function I do, and just concentrate.
Wow. Thank you, Margie. It's good.
Good. I nominate Figile.
I knew it.
Yes.
Morning, everyone. I had to stop a mountain of work. I had to stop thinking about it, stop doing it. And I also woke up with a cough, and I was battling in the morning. Do I go get meds or do I attend? Do I go get meds? Do I attend? And I chose to struggle through my cough and be in the session. I nominate Dorcas.
Hi, everyone. I think for me, it's the same as what everyone has said as well. I had to stop a lot of stand-up sessions with different teams, project meetings to be here. And yeah, a bit of noise from my daughter who likes coming to chat in the morning.
Oh, yeah. She wants to see what you're doing.
Yes.
Dorcas, who would you like to nominate?
Ooh, let's see. I nominate Pilar.
Pilar, you're on mute.
Pilar. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, no, that's fine. So life at P4, that's what I had to stop. It's like a constantly turning wheel. About 3 meetings that I now have to cancel as we are busy with this. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Pilar. Pilar, who would you like to nominate?
I'd like to nominate this. Cindy.
Where's Philly?
Cindy, let's
Oh, okay. Okay, so basically I had to, it's month end, so it's very tough. I had to work late yesterday to sort of cover certain things, and then so that at least I can attend the first half of the training, and then move certain meetings this morning. Yeah, I nominate Audrey.
Okay, Audrey.
Thanks. I was hoping somebody would eventually nominate me. Thanks, Pindile. Yeah, so I had to stop wanting to give into the temptation of cancelling my attendance to attend to other things. And I actually I saw Fikile was up at 4 o'clock this morning. Wow. And yeah, so I also started working very early so that I could make the session.
Wow. Thank you, Audrey. And who would you like to nominate?
Oh, Londeka. This video I think is not working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Morning, guys. For me today, luckily I've signed off for my deployment later. And yeah, I had nothing much to do today. So I'm joining.
Thank you, Londeka. It's good. Who would you like to nominate?
And Olivia.
Oliver, yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. I think for me was to basically understand this mentorship program because I'm working with Raymond as a facilitator. I might be working with you guys and just to really get to understand your own perspective, what mentoring is, and also for me to understand the processes of mentorship. And I had to clear off my calendar today to basically listen to Raymond and to listen to all of you. Let me see.
I think it's just Mboyi.
Okay, Mboyi.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and me.
Okay, yeah.
No. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, there's a nice dog in here. So who do you want to nominate, Oliver?
Is it Busi? There's Busi, or did Busi also? Busi Mbata.
I've already introduced myself.
Yes.
I think Spogazi hasn't had a chance.
I was about to nominate myself, you know. I'll go. So for me, it's more of I'm getting heart palpitations because I'm still learning the business. So when I have to miss something, it feels like it's going to be a month's gap. So yeah, but I'm happy to be here. I'll nominate the last person. I think was I the last person?
No, I think it's Kumbui.
Kumbui,
yes. I nominate you.
Kaiba. Kaiba, you need to change your name.
Kaiba. Oh.
Sorry about that.
There we go. Kaiba.
Kaiba. Yeah, I think it's like, it's with what everybody say, you know, just making the time to get everyone to be here, to avail yourself as well. It's very hectic, but I think when we think of the outcome, it makes it all worth it. And I'm very happy to be here as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so welcome everybody. It's good. So it's just like a first dip into kind of engaging with everybody else. And I think an important part of checking in is to really get a sense from you as a group. Like, what is it like? I showed you that slide with building the container, those different elements that are needed to kind of create a safe space where you can feel that you can relax and be present and available. So I'm just curious, when you think about personally times in your life where you've been in a group or you really have felt safe and being able to be yourself. So what is it like? What are those things that you need today as we build this container with ourselves and with each other? What are the elements that you would like to include? Like some of them are confidentiality and be present and respect and listening. But personally, if you just take a moment and just think, what is it? What are those things that make me feel that I can actually really be present? And then if you can either put it in the chat if you want, or you can just share with the group.
I think the ability to, to trust other people, because, mentorship is such a complicated thing. It's not, it's not something that we do on a daily basis. It's not something that we were educated to do, whatever we studied, unless, we maybe studied HR, it might be somewhere in the curriculum, I don't know. But it's not something that we feel comfortable with. So I guess to get involved and engaged is, you've got to trust the other people that you're having conversations with.
Yeah, I like it. So trust is really important, definitely.
Yeah. I think definitely I was on the same page as Audrey for trust, but I think also understanding each and every person that is on this call and each and every mentee that we would engage with have got their own background, their own upbringing. And it's a large part of understanding it from their point of view, not understanding it from what we've been raised with. And that's actually quite important when we're engaging with one another, is where does that person actually come from? How do they react and absorb things that we might be offering advice on, but maybe not from their perspective. We constantly do it from ours. So I think that's important for building that trust and understanding piece within the group as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and I agree. It's like understanding. You just kind of really land in that. You can feel that it's like gravitas. I like it. Does anybody else need? What else? What else is needed?
Just from my perspective, I see this as a safe space to talk and be heard and listen to others.
So there's a lot there. It's being able to be listened to. So listening is important. Okay. And to be able to talk, like to feel free enough to be able to share is important. Yeah. Is any other kind of elements that are needed for today's session?
I think for me, Ray, I mean, being fully present, I think that is very, very key.
Yes, completely. I think there's a big part of that. Yeah. And also give yourselves, you know, what I've realized just listening to what everybody had to stop doing, what I've realized is that this is, you're paying a big price to be here today in terms of having to stop and then put things aside and then having to catch up with things. So your time is very valuable. So you put a lot to be here, and to get the most out of it it almost puts me on a bit of pressure to make sure that everybody gets their bang for their buck kind of thing and really get as much as they can, because of how much it costs to be here. So being present is like kind of a big element of that. So we've got that trust, understanding, listening, creating a safe space to be present. Is there anything else that you kind of really feel, okay, if I've got that, then I can be here a little bit more fully?
For me, I guess I'd say how to support a mentee. You know, that's sort of, you know, just how to offer support to them and make them feel heard and make them feel like I am here for them. So I think that would be a good tool to have.
Okay. So it's almost like to feel competent, you need to have a sense you've got a skill, almost like you know what you're doing to be able to really.
Exactly, yeah, to know exactly what I'm doing. I mean, these kids are really young and just want to
yes.
gain their trust, yeah.
No, fair enough.
I also think having an open mind, because we all come from different backgrounds. So when you hear something for the first time, you're like, oh, is that how it happens? So I think coming with an open mind and appreciating the differences, that can then pass less judgment in anything that you hear.
Yeah. So I love it when you just include that aspect of open mind and you add it to the list. It's interesting how it creates more of a depth. I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear from some other voices, maybe Fikile, is there anything that pops up that you would like to say or not?
I think for me, someone mentioned trust. I think establishing that connection and trust is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Fikile. It's true. And I think, yeah, so like kind of as we build in the container and engaging, so this is kind of the first step in the mentorship program, and it's the first step almost that you'll have with your mentee, like kind of really trying to get that connection going as much as you possibly can. And so just having this conversation around, these are the elements that we need. So it would be interesting to see what would happen if we took one of these or some of these elements away, and how that impacts on the strength of our container. So like Audrey, you spoke about trust. So I'm going to ask you to do something, but now, just for a quick moment, and I just want you to notice what happens to the container that we're busy building when we take out trust. So Audrey, just for a moment, just put yourself, take your camera off, stop your video. There you go. All right. And then just notice what happens to the container when we take out trust. And think about that element that you were holding. So how does it feel, or what happens when trust gets taken out of the container? Did anybody notice? Does anybody notice anything?
Well, I would think that you'd be a little bit more apprehensive to say anything because you don't know what's happening on the other side.
Yes. Yeah, so you just noticed the apprehensiveness. And Oliver, you got your hand up?
The container feels incomplete. There's just something missing in that container.
Yeah, it's that kind of a sense of. So Audrey, just put your camera back on again and bring trust back into the container. Yeah, there's it. How was that movement when trust came back in? What happened? What did you notice happening inside you, if anything? Audrey, what was it like for you not to be present, even just visually? What did you notice about?
Yeah, I felt more removed or separate from what I did previously.
Yeah.
Now I feel better.
Yes, and I'm included. I belong. Yeah, it's good. And also what I noticed when you came in, there was this big smile. And I just thought, wow, that's such a nice welcoming. I'm so good to have you back again. So let's so Busi, you spoke about being present. And so I'm curious what would happen if we take away that element out of the container. So just put your camera off and let's see what happens. So Busi holds that part of the container about being present. And what's it like when being present is no longer part of our container? For some reason, Londeka, I'm looking at your name, so I'm going to ask you, what do you think? I think, Londeka, I think your sound's off, yeah.
I'm on mute, yes.
Yes, you're back.
It kind of feel empty on my side as well. I think someone did mention that.
Yes.
And yeah.
So it's interesting you say you kind of feel empty, like someone else mentioned it. So there's something about a universal experience of when we know the container is not strong enough, that we feel kind of empty. So that's good. So welcome. I'll bring, thank you. So Busi, come back and bring presents. There we go. Okay, stunning. So as you kind of just notice the difference when those elements are gone, and just, is there anything else that we need for today for people to feel safe, held, and contained that we have to add to the list or not? Okay, I'm good. I think it's a good container. So it's got trust, it's got being present, it's got that element of learning the skill of how to support the kids, having open mind, and that sense of listening and being listened to and having an opportunity to be able to speak. These are all things that we need to be able to connect with the mentees, and more importantly, to connect with each other today. So I really want to say welcome. And so as we kind of, but even in now, I'm still kind of working on the container. I'm still working on engagement. And a nice way to be able to work on this engagement with each other, we're going to break up into breakout rooms for 10 minutes. And the question I want you to explore with each other is, what is your experience of being mentored in your life? So just take a moment and think about, okay, what's my experience of being mentored? And I'm going to just break up into random groups. And then you'll be invited to join a group. And then in that, you'll have 10 minutes to have that conversation. Like, what is my experience of being mentored? And then we'll come back to the group and maybe just share and talk about that a little bit. Are there any questions, by the way?
Nope.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, great. So, where is it? Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. So just, it'd be nice. Okay, Andrea needs to, she'll be back. So just to kind of check in with everyone, how was it to, first of all, to be able to break up into those little groups and just have a quick conversation with each other and kind of break the ice with each other and have an opportunity to connect?
Can I go first?
Yes, yeah, Fikile.
It was good, but we waited for like 2 minutes because we thought more people are going to join.
Oh, okay. So just to serve you. Sure.
It was just the two of us. So some learning there, but it was good. And just sharing the experiences and getting to reflect was quite good. I mean, Dorcas and I both said, you know, we actually never had a moment in our lives where we had a formal mentor, but we've had people taking keen interest in our development and being deliberate and present around making time to voluntarily be mentors, you know, and both our experiences were quite similar, which was interesting. And I just thought, you know, we have moments of mentoring at many points, and sometimes we don't acknowledge it, and yet it's happening somewhat, you know.
I love those words, deliberate and present. It's just so kind of, it just like kind of sums up the relationship. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was good.
Does anyone, Audrey, how was your, does anything pop up for you around what you guys spoke about?
Yeah, so I mean, neither me or Carmen also didn't have, you know, formal mentors. So it's interesting because one would think that there are a lot of people that's been deliberately mentored, because there's a lot of talk about mentorship and how important mentorship is for growth both from a professional and a personal perspective. But it would be interesting just to find out how many people has been mentored. And so it is sometimes difficult, you know, to have that perspective of, you know, what mentorship really is. I'm not that as lucky as Fikile and Dorcas that had people that take keen interest in my progress, except maybe my parents and some of my bosses. But Carmen made a very interesting point, you know, around the relationship between a parent and a child, and the responsibility of, you know, the parent as playing more of a mentorship role, because the mentee or the child trusting the parent, you know, to do the right thing, even though you don't necessarily have the right skill. And that's such an interesting comment, because that's what I'm really here for today, because I haven't had a formal mentor, and I'm really looking for some skills to assist in kind of galvanizing my competencies that I hopefully have in order to be a good mentor.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, like at the beginning, you say, I haven't had training in being a therapist or being a counselor. My skill set's so different. And then to kind of plug into my experience of being a mentor, and then recognizing I've never really had somebody that kind of has held me, and so it's quite amazing to recognize that the lack of mentorship. I think you make a good point. Margie, for yourself, remember last time we chatted, you had your experience of mentorship was pretty positive.
Yes, Raymond. I think I shared Figile's 2 seconds reaction in that the other room. I think Oliver and I, we waited thinking there's more people that are going to join, and we look at each other and we start asking kind of questions. Where's everybody else? But yeah, lesson learned. Maybe before I say anything, I think having listened to Oliver's mentoring journey was actually an exciting thing, because he had a dedicated mentor from beginning to where he is, and he explained the transition of where he started and where he is and what the mentor did, which was awesome. I think it's very rare to have somebody that would invest so much in a person for this lifetime. From my side, the story, I had a total of 4 mentors to date over a period of my working life. I think I had a great mentor at the beginning of my career. For someone who just came out of varsity not knowing what they want to do, when I entered the workplace, I literally fell into someone's hands that encouraged me to be anything I want to be. You know, it's so empowering when you speak to individuals that think like that. So when I made a decision to want to be in IT, the person literally just, you know, clap hands for me throughout the journey. To the point where they literally offered me my first job as a specialist solution designing. So that period of my life was very young, ambitious, and found myself in a whole lot of domain that's got a lot of males in it. And you also have to compete for your own space as a female in that time. But what I love about it is you'll all have that one person that will literally take an interest in you going, you know. And then jumping out of that era of my life, I met another mentor, literally transitioned me from being a specialist into management role. And I think for me, that mentoring was an exciting one, because what came out with that was for more an empowering aspect that I saw coming alive, because the first task I was given from that lady that I adored, and she passed away, was to form a division, because I was a process engineer at the time. And she allowed me to start a division from scratch under her wing, and I actually did it. She was just guiding. But I think for me, what came out was the trust, the empowerment, the attitude that you can do it. you know, what you learn, apply it. That came out a lot. And obviously that came with lessons that you fail, you rise up, but she will tell you it's your empowerment is not to look at your failure, but, you know, lesson learned on how you do things. So currently where I am with my life is the next chapter of my life, transitioning into more of the spiritual. My current mentor is my apostle, because I'm part of that leadership in the church, and I also minister a lot. So I'm literally leaning towards that. So if I ever had to leave the workplace, it's going to be ministering, doing so completely something different for my life. So that aspect of my life is literally teaching me to walk in wisdom, you know, look at every mankind as being loved by God, and, you know, trusting, empowering people. And honestly, what somebody did for me, I need to do it for the next person. I think I believe in everybody has greatness in them. Someone has to encourage you for that greatness to come out, and make sure that they tell you that you're great and you're going to do it. So, yeah. So, yeah, I do have a former mentor currently. Yeah. That's the story of my life, Raymond.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. And it just, for me, what really lands is like having someone that believes in you is such a complete, important component of being a mentor. So when you think about mentoring these girls, and then there's someone that comes into their lives that really kind of recognizes their potential and believes in it and sees it and mirrors it back to them, that in itself is an empowering relationship. And if you can just do that, then you're the best mentor in the world. So Audrey, just that element of being able to mirror, wow, you actually, and I guarantee you, when you meet the girls, you are going to be impressed. You're going to be kind of blown away by their kind of approach to life, their insights, their wisdoms, because they've got a skill set, knowledge that's so amazing. Does anybody else want to talk about the experience of being about being mentored?
Raymond,
and Nick is just thanking you, Marjorie, for your sharing.
I've raised my hand like for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. Please.
I'm not sure what the raising hand is now anymore.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Sorry.
No. I raised during Audrey's feedback, and raising it because some of us have been fortunate enough, like Marjorie, to have mentors along the way. You know, we have worked at Imperial, where it was imperative for everyone to have mentees. So everyone had to go through mentor training as a senior manager. So you got to understand the two sides of the coin, which is coaching and mentoring, because we were not differentiating it all along as we were going about, leading people. When you have people management as part of your duties in an organization, you tend to mix the two. And for me, that program was the one that literally just differentiated, to say, I will be a coach to my direct team, which is, Melisizwe, Donna, Noni, because I coach them daily as we go about HR work. However, mentees is when I take a logistic graduate that is coming into an Imperial space, or an engineering graduate, and I actually coach someone that is totally outside of my field. And understanding that this is about committing to creating crucial conversations for a person that will not be able to, in just a heartbeat. This is about creating momentum, challenging them for their career, but at the same time, knowing very well that you need to constantly push back and say to them, this is still in your hands. Nobody's going to do this for you. This is for your development. So if we are just creating networks as an organization to say, this is how your career can possibly grow, and these are the possibilities, but you are the one who is supposed to grab it and run, to the tune that, every mentoring conversation that will happen between me and my two mentees during that, 1 year period would be, we put one thing that is professional on the table per mentoring session and one thing that is personal. You know, if this is young people, one of the things, for example, will be financial decisions that they will make as they start off at work, and some of which some of us made the financial mistakes, you know, where Jenny Barton for a young lady was the in thing. So why am I saving money instead of going to Centon and just pledging on my salary that I just received? So it's just creating those conversations to say, you know what, some of them is truly professional, but personal as well, you know. Have a mix as a mentor, because you can't only concentrate on just the professional. You need to look at the whole person, and the whole person is a human being that is working out today, daily, and therefore your conversations, you know, that you need to have with your mentee as a mentor need to shape the whole being.
When you talk about conversations, it kind of lands, because it is about conversations. It's about talking, it's about exploring, it's about listening, it's about giving feedback, listening. And it's the space of conversation that really kind of lands that relationship of mentor-mentee. So it's
yeah,
good, lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of time. So is there anybody else that wants to add anything? Because what I'd like to is ask Reggie to maybe speak a little bit about her experience of being a mentor at the JP Girls Mentorship Program, because she's been with the Mentorship Program for about 2 years now. And it'd be nice to hear from you. But before that, just to double check, does anybody else want to say anything? Okay. So Reggie, would you like to just share maybe your experience of being a mentor with the girls at JP Girls High?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I haven't met...
Maybe just introduce yourself as well. Sorry, you haven't had a chance to introduce yourself to everybody.
I haven't met everyone. I remember Marjorie at Carmen. I don't see the other faces. I'm not quite sure who else is here. But very good to see you guys, everyone. And nice meeting every one of you.
Fikile as well.
Oh, okay. I don't see. Okay, she's not on my screen. So I'm looking forward to spending a bit of time with you. I'm not going to be here for the rest of the session. I might have to leave a little bit early, but it's great to be here. I am, as Ray mentioned, I just joined, I think ECL about 4 years ago, Ray. So I've been with them for 4 years. Yeah. And serving as a chairperson for the last 2 years as well. Yeah, we've done a number of projects working with schools. Unfortunately, COVID hit and it kind of like stopped us in our tracks. But we've done a bit of online as well. Training with certain organizations. So I've been with Ray and Janet as well for a little while. So it's an amazing program. And what I find is that it's a program that amazing program for everyone, not just schools. I mean, for individuals, even in companies, in mentorship programs and all that. It's something that is so needed desperately in this country. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how, you know, we can spread the word and get more involved in the work that we do. So I wear 2 hats at the moment. I'm running a company with a partner of mine. So, and then the other hat is ECL. So I'm not as active as I would love to be. Hopefully I'll be back. I'll be more active in the next few years again, once I'm settled. So yeah, the one thing that I do consistently with ECL is the mentorship program that we're running with JP. So the way the mentorship program is set up is, I was listening to one of the ladies talking about the personal and business. The way it's set up is that we have, you know, children coming from a previously disadvantaged background who've got potential, they get scholarships and they get admitted at JP for girls. at grade 8 level. So the peer mentorship is set up such that you've got at grade 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then you've got the old girls as well. Some of them are at varsity, some of them have graduated and they've already started working. So the mentors in that whole group, it's actually all girls. It's much older women, family women who are working, who are the mentors of that group. So Ray and I are the people who've assisting in running the mentorship program. So I think we are the only so-called outsider of the normal model, you know, bringing in the tools as mentors to work with the group. So I got allocated a group. I think I've had a group of mine now for a year now. I was in a different group with a different mentor. But sure, my learnings from this whole program, it's been such a humbling experience, because what I realized with the children now, they've got so many pressures, you know, thanks to the age that they're living in, with the advent of technology, the peer pressure. So the environment is completely different from the environment that a lot of us as mentors, you know, grew up under. So I have a philosophy that that I follow, you know, strictly, especially for this program, and it says that the older I get, the more I learn, and the less I know. So as much as I'm a mentor, much older with more life experience, there is so much that I learn from these kids. So where it all starts, because of the kind of environment that they're experiencing, or that they live in, the very first thing that I find that is very important and that you need to establish in a group is what we call creating a container. You know, trust is a very big thing with these kids. So what they need is a very safe space where they feel they can really express themselves. So in a group, we all select the words that describe exactly the kind of environment that we would like to operate in, including myself as a mentor. You know, how safe, what it is that we feel is going to help us to be safe, you know. Confidentiality and all, we don't want to be judged and all those things. So we decide on that. And that's a kind of container we create, and it doesn't just happen on that day. It's something that we carry on with us every time we meet, when we have to discuss things, because what I find a lot because we end up discussing various things. The program is such that we don't only at school things, and it's personal things, and it's developmental things that come to the fore, because we deal with different topics. You know, we have different people coming to talk to the girls as well about different things, whether it's financial management, whether it's mental health, whether it's, so we end up touching on a whole lot of things. So what I find is that, you know, when I step into that environment, I step in with so much respect and honor, and honor the girls. You know, respect the environment that they come from. It might be different from mine. What they come with, not to judge it, just to accept them, just to accept and listen, really listen deeply to what they have to say. Listen from their heart more than anything else. And I find that over time, you know, there's a level of trust that develops. It takes a while because a lot of them are carrying quite a lot of things. So as much as we communicate as a group on WhatsApp, once they trust you, what you tend to see is communication coming directly to you as a mentor. When they've got issues that they need to discuss, it'll be a direct conversation that doesn't involve the others. So I find that respecting and honoring them and honoring who they are, where they come from, what they have to carry on a daily basis, and listening to them deeply. It's very important. I have found, it's funny, the last session that we had, you know, I found myself, you as a mentor, you even find yourself in them. You know, one of the girls who's studying to be this, she's an old girl who's studying, I think she's doing a 4th year medicine. Her life experience, how she grew up, you know, getting an opportunity to go to school like JP, and how it impacted her life and all that. It was, I got such goosebumps, because it was like she was talking about me. I found myself finding myself in her life, in her life experience. So it's a very enriching experience. It's a very humbling experience. And you learn so much from the girls. It's their perspective of life is absolutely different. It's creative, it's fun, it's energetic, it's so energizing. So it's an amazing experience to be able to share time. I so look forward to spending time with them when you get an opportunity once a month. So yeah, it's you know, there's a saying that you know, when much is given to you, much really is expected. And I find that, you know, I don't have to think about giving. And you'll be surprised. I think, Adri, you said that, you know, you haven't really had an experience of being a mentor, but as a mentor, you'll be surprised when you come in. For instance, for myself, as a mother who's got a child who's at varsity at the moment, about to finish her degree, and you've got the kids at high school, whatever they're struggling with, whether it's how to learn, you know, the subject that they're studying with, what their challenges are, and as teenagers with their friends, you know how they're struggling. As a mother, you find yourself bringing so much of the life experience that the pearls that you have, the journeys that you've gone through with your own family, with your nieces and all that. And it's such a joy to be able to share that with them. And you share experiences, you talk about ideas, you create that platform where they feel free to come up with ideas that, you know, and listen to what you have to say and say, you know, I never thought about it this way, I'm going to try it this way. And they try it and it works. And they're able to move forward to deal with the next challenge and all that. So it's a very, very, very enriching experience that you need to approach with an open heart, open mind. And just be open to learning. I mean, these kids have got so much. You humble yourself. They've got so much to give and to share, and you learn from them, and you keep on dropping the pearls that you've learned over time. So yeah, so good luck with your program, the mentorship program, and I wish you all the best. Yeah, that's it. Is it Ray who's frozen, or is it my side?
We can hear you.
I think Ray's frozen.
Ray is frozen.
Yeah.
But thanks, Reggie. That was really, really good for sharing the program. It sounds exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, Ray? Yeah, he struggles with reception.
He's dropped off.
Has he dropped?
He'll join again, I'm sure.
So when are you guys starting with the girls?
Okay, you back?
So the actual one-on-one mentoring hasn't started yet. We were all just waiting to get this training session in hand, getting everyone collaborated. But the STEM program has already started. It actually started last year, September. And we now, so the goals in STEM that has already started, just not the one-on-one with the mentees and the mentors.
Okay. Oh, so you get allocated with a single mentee, so it's one-on-one.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'd have to confirm with Candace how many mentees per mentor, but yeah, we'd have face-to-face sessions. That's the way.
Okay. All right. And how long a period with that person? Is it for until they finish school? Or?
Yes, a metric. So yeah.
Okay, that's a very tough year, that one. Huh?
Yep, and it goes by so fast.
Yeah. Okay, I see Ray's back.
Yeah, I don't know, it just dropped off. So I just want to share this quickly with you. Put that in. So we did a little bit of an exercise where we asked the mentees to describe their experience, and we got a whole lot of letters back. But I think this kind of really speaks to one of the mentees' experience. So she says, has been insightful because I learned that you're not alone in the world, and that there are people who are willing to support you. And just that line alone really sums up the power of being a mentor, that you're actually not alone in the world, and there are people in the world that are willing to support you. And that is a remarkable discovery for me, to kind of just to realize that, there are actually people that are willing to support you, and I'm not alone. And it talks about being helpful because you start to relax around these strangers that you've just met not long ago, and you relax around your mentors who you look up to as they are there to listen or advise you. And the mentors also give you insight as to what paths to take when making decisions concerning yourself, as they might have experienced the same decision as you. And I think that the program has helped me mature into a more confident woman/child. I've benefited from this program mainly because I know that there's always someone there for you. And I think when I read this, it just really lands home for me, the power, the impact that you have as a mentor on someone else's life, and the learning that you can offer them. And then even when you reflect on, I suppose, your own experience of being mentored or not, and the gift that you're about to give these girls is really, really profound. And ultimately, being a mentor is bringing yourself into relationship with somebody else. And if you learn anything from this time together, that is the take home. Like, being a mentor is about you entering into a relationship with somebody else with an intention to be there for them and to be open to them and to be willing to be present. And ultimately, that is what makes the magic happen. So the skills, the listening, the advice, and all the rest of it take a secondary place to the fact that you're showing up to them. So would I like to maybe, if you'd like to say anything about this, that's great. Or maybe it would be nice to have a bit of a break, and then we'll speed up a little bit so that we can get through the program. But I think just as we finish up, let me stop sharing. And you just kind of get a felt sense of the phase that we've been working on, this idea of the first level, engagement, equip. So if you just kind of think to yourself, okay, what we've been doing for the last hour, and we've been spending time in it, is engaging with each other. And if you kind of think about what it was like when we started this journey at 9 o'clock, at 9:15, to where you are at now, and how you've shifted from a point of being kind of, what is this about, or whatever, to a level of engagement. And like saying, okay, yeah, now I'm in the container, I'm on the roller coaster, I'm here, I'm contributing, I'm engaging. So then in itself, hopefully you'll be able to say, okay, this is what it feels like, and this is where I want to be able to take my mentor to this place. When I really feel we're engaging, then we can say, okay, now let's move on to the next phase. So for me, I personally feel, okay, now we're ready to move on to the next phase. And there's almost like, okay, we've done it. We've built rapport. We know who's in the room. We've heard a little bit. We know where we're going. Now we're ready to go into the next kind of questions phase of the model. So unless anybody's got any questions, let's have a break and then we come back at 11 o'clock. Good. Right, okay, perfect. Welcome back. Thanks. I thought it was a nice quick break. Went outside in the sun a little bit and tried to warm up. It's a bit chilly in the room. So just to kind of enter into the kind of the idea of the model. So we've been spending quite a bit of time on the engaging part of the model. And sometimes I describe this as a roller coaster. And so you can see the roller coaster's got that kind of this dip on it. So part of the engaging is almost trying to get people onto the roller coaster. It's Artie's coming in, Reddit. So as the model like progresses from the engaging part, if you can imagine when you go on a roller coaster ride, that time when you're making that decision, do I get into this little container or do I get into that box car? And then you often just stand back and you watch everybody else going for rides, and you're watching the delight and the screams and the terror, and you connect with your own anxiety around getting in on the roller coaster. And then eventually you decide, okay, I'm on the box, I'm in the box. And the ride hasn't actually started yet, but now you're waiting with anticipation. And so when you start the roller coaster, then you go to that first dip. So in a sense, on this journey with your mentors, this is where we're at the moment. We're just engaging, we're getting into the roller coaster, we're deciding whether it's safe enough to go for the ride. And now we're in the roller coaster, we're ready to get going. And now we're stepping into that place of kind of on, okay, now what are the real issues? What is the question that the person holds? Or what is the intention? Or what is the goal of this whole mentorship kind of relationship? So as you move into the questioning phase, then you literally would say, okay, well, now we, it's really been a really, and I can say it's been, so far the journey's been amazing with everybody. And I'm certainly feeling ready to move on. So tell me, what is the issue that you want to deal with? Or what is the goal that you want to achieve? Or what is your intention? So you simply ask the first question. So that's the most important realization. We've moved in, we've engaged, and we're stepping into the next step, questioning. So you ask a question. So what is it? So what is your intention? Like, what would you like to be different? How would you like things to change? What are you struggling with right now? What would you like to, what are you finding easy in your life at the moment? Or what are you finding difficult? So you kind of enter into that space of actually asking questions. And because you've set up some kind of rapport, the person is more likely to be able to want to engage with those questions. So let's go down on this side. Lift it all. So I don't know what's better. Engaging, levels of listening. I'm actually going to leave it for a moment. Okay, I'm going to leave that for a moment. So basically, when you enter into that kind of question phase, then there's the skill of using either an open-ended question or a closed-ended question. And typically, when you ask a closed question, the answer that you get is a yes or a no, or I don't know. And it cuts the conversation dead completely. And there's no more room for maneuvering. Whereas an open question invites a conversation. And that element of being a mentor and entering into conversation is ultimately what this is all about. So when you're thinking an open question, you're going to be able to access information about their hopes, their worries, and their wonders, what's going on in their lives. And obviously, an open question also kind of builds rapport between yourself and the person you're working with. And in that space of open questions, you're looking at new ideas. You're thinking about what's happened in the past. How does the past impact in the present? And what difference will that make in the future? And so you can even ask, you know, like, what happened in the past that makes you want to have this? And what have you done in the past that, what solutions have you tried to find in the past? And then also the questions even provide motivation, and it increases a sense of confidence in the mentee, because it kind of gives them the power to find the solution. So it's very different from giving advice and telling a person what to do, instead of kind of inviting in an exploration. And then also the questions like provide a springboard to start and continue a conversation. So to really learn the skill of asking questions, and it's quite you really have to like kind of learn to pay attention to the fact that right now what I'm doing in this phase is we're exploring, we're questioning what's going on. We're really trying to increase our level of understanding. And that's what we're doing. We're not in the phase almost of offering solutions yet. We're in the questioning phase. And what's really helpful when you kind of recognize when I'm in the questioning phase, that's the phase that I need to focus on. Okay, we go like that. Just find this. All right. So then obviously there's just a quick definition between closed questioning. So closed questions can be answered with either a single word or phrase. As I said, yes, no, I don't know, or yesterday, tomorrow. And also closed question will just simply give you facts. And they're pretty easy to answer, and they're quick to answer. And you also keep control of the question with a closed question. But sometimes they can be quite helpful. So like a closed question would be, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Oh, no, I've got 2 sisters and 3 brothers. Oh, what's their names? How old are they? What number in the household? Or what number do you fall in the family? So sometimes closed questions can be like good ways of just getting information and then lead you into being able to answer an open question. So what's it like being the middle child? That's an open question, and that invites conversation. But you've already set up kind of a rapport by asking some easy factual questions. So I'm not saying don't ask those questions, but sometimes it's nice to be able to move the conversation between open and closed questions. And then obviously your open question is, you get much longer answer. And your open questions, there's an invitation for the person to think about the answer. And they also start moving into a space of opinions and feelings. So even just saying, what do you think about? Or what is your opinion? They can be very directive, but it's like, when you say to someone what do you feel about something, then it invites a deeper exploration of an issue. And then importantly, it hands control of the conversation over to the respondent. Whereas a closed question, you kind of keep, like you determine the answers almost, like yes or no. But with an open question, it can go anywhere. You've got no control over it. You have to kind of follow the conversation. So there's some nice examples, like how do you keep focused on your work? Like, why is that important to you? Why is that? And then you can even, when you're engaging, and then you can deepen the conversation by saying, you know, like I noticed when you said that, you kind of, you took a breath. Like, what was that about? Or like, describe something. And then also like, how's it, like I often say when I work with someone and they get an insight and they notice something, you say, well, what is it like to see that there's a connection between this and that? So it's like all like probing, answering. So it can be quite a juicy way of engaging. I wonder if I should do the breakthrough question.
I've got a question, Raymond.
Yes.
So, you know, I don't know whether this is a technical question or not. It's not meant to be. It's just a practical question.
Not good.
Sometimes, you know, there's different ways of developing, and the one is mentorship and another one is coaching. So in terms of this, how is this component of your journey through the curve, different from coaching, because it feels to me that it's, you know, very much aligned to the coaching concept of kind of getting the person that needs the assistance to help themselves.
There's a very close alignment between the two. So the mentorship and the coaching model, there's quite a crossover between the two. I think the difference between the coach and the mentor is that the coach sets themselves up as like kind of, I don't want to say the expert, but they're using a lot of their kind of coaching skills to be able to enhance the relationship. Whereas the mentor is more engaged by the mentor themselves, mentors the other person by being themselves. Sorry, there's someone. I don't know if I'm aware that I'm not answering your question at all. So the easy answer would be to say the mentor and the coaching model are very similar, but there's a kind of a subtle difference between the two. And can't quite put my finger on it. So I don't know, maybe someone else can help. How's that for a backdoor? But you're right. There is a kind of similarity between coaching and peer mentorship. And I think this model leans quite heavily on coaching. But the idea would be really to kind of mentor the person to find their own solutions. But there is a component of, as I'm thinking about it and articulating in my mind, there's a real, I think with mentoring, the component of drawing on your own experience is more than with coaching. So then the person would be, maybe there's an issue of how do I get into university? So then you'd be able to use your own experience of getting into university and bring that into the conversation. But in such a way of like saying, okay, this is what you should do. You can say, this is what I did and how I managed to get what I needed to do. Is that helpful? And then that would be a way of engaging. So thanks for the question, because it's helped me kind of clarify a little bit in my own mind. What is the difference between the coaching and a mentorship? Is that helpful for everybody else? Okay. So I've got I'm in two minds, literally. So what I would like to do is for you to kind of role play this question answer, getting into a question that's real edgy and deep. Or a more simpler version would be to kind of articulate your intention. And I'm going to do the intention side. Yeah, okay, I think it's a good idea. I'm just thinking what's best. All right. So the last time we did the training, I included this part around a breakthrough question. But I think it's kind of similar. It's like once you've engaged with your mentee, and then you want to establish like what is it that your mentee wants to work on? What is the issue? What is the challenge that they're kind of dealing with at the moment? So what I'd like to do is for all of us to kind of set ourselves a personal intention for today, something that will actually make a difference in our own personal life. So you might be struggling with something at the moment that you want to kind of look at or explore or to get some kind of insight around. And then for the rest of the day, we'd like to kind of use that intention as something that we can use to kind of have a bit of juice around that. And then use the model to be able to kind of explore that. So when you are working with your mentee, you've had a felt experience of working with an intention. So yeah. So just take a moment and maybe just jot down, like if you could, like literally, if you were a mentee and I was your mentor and I'd say to you, okay, you know, like it's really good that we've had this time together, but so I really think that maybe we can have a look at what's going on in your life. So just think for a moment, like what is the something that you would like to talk about today? Or maybe there's a challenge that you're busy dealing with that you would like to explore with me. Or maybe there's something that you want to be different today after our session. Does anything come to mind? So just note after I've asked those few questions, does anything come to mind? Is there anything that you would like to work with? What is your personal intention? What would you like to be different? Is there a particular challenge that's keeping you awake at night? Thank you, Phila. So Phila just notes that she's mindful of the goodness around her right now. It's lovely. So has everybody basically written something down and got something that they'd like to work with? So, no, okay, there's it. I've got it. So, one more share. Back to that. Listening. So when I'm going to ask us to do this little exercise about deep listening, and one of the, when we're talking about what's needed in today's session to really feel safe and held, is deep listening. And so this model of deep listening is really kind of powerful because it speaks to how we normally listen versus going into the U curve of really deep listening. So normally we listen from a habitual place. So from listening from level one, literally what we do is we kind of download information. So even now, as you're listening to me, I'm giving you a lot of information. And so literally I'm downloading data and you're listening and you're taking in this information. And as you're listening to it, it's either reconfirming your old opinions and your judgments, or maybe bringing something new, but you kind of, it's just listening, like I know that I've done experience. So it's a very shortcut version of listening to something. And as you can see that there's this red stripe, this line between listening from habitual place to reconfirming old opinions and judgments. And I think, you know, I do some relationship work with couples, and this is generally how couples communicate with each other. So someone says something and then you say, oh, you always say that. No, you've never done that before, you know, that kind of scenario. So it's quick and easy. But the invitation when you're listening to each other is to deepen that by going through various levels. So when you start listening from with an open mind, already you start kind of noticing the facts that you're hearing, but then you start noticing how you differ from what you're hearing and maybe differences in information. And then what you're looking at is like new information that's coming towards you. So you're listening to an open mind, trying to listen for possibilities, trying to listen for something new. Then sometimes when you deepen that listening and you come from an open heart place, then you start listening from a place of how does what I'm hearing making me feel? How do I respond to it from a heart level? Does it open me up? Does it make my heart close down? And then also you're able then to listen through the other person's eyes. And then last level is like kind of from the body level. And then even listening, and this is quite an interesting way of listening, is listening from the perspective of the future. Like from what I'm hearing, what are the possibilities that open up from what I'm hearing? So when you hear Reggie's talk about her experience of being a mentor, you can either listen to it from that first level of simply, oh my gosh, okay, that's what it is. I can't do that. I can do that. Or then you move into a level of just noticing what she's talking about, noticing what you know, how it differs from your own experience. And then you kind of, maybe what I thought I knew, I didn't realize that I actually am able or not able to do something. And then when you listen from a heart space, like how it impacted on you at a heart level, that sense of, oh my gosh, that it is transformative and that does make a difference. And I can feel a heart connection. And then moving into that and then listening through and seeing Reggie's experience through her eyes, what really happened at a felt sense. And then connecting with that fourth level of the possibilities of you actually being able to be in that space and making a difference in someone else's life, just as Reggie has done. So it's a very different way of listening to somebody when you start listening from an open mind, an open heart, and an open will. Are there any questions about this slide? Does anybody want to say anything about it? Because what I'm going to ask you to do now is to go back to that intention. And then I'm going to ask you to get back into groups and then share what that intention is. And then explore that intention with your partner using this open mind, open heart, and open will. So my intention is to what I would really like is to I'm just thinking about your context and kind of my intention is to improve my relationship with my manager. That's my intention. And so as you explore that intention with your partner, is okay, so what is it that you would like to be different with your relationship with your manager? And as a person speaks, you're listening to what they're saying, and at the same time, you're tuning into how it feels in your body. So I noticed, like, when you're talking about how difficult it is to be with your manager, I noticed that you look a little bit sad when you think about it. Like, is that true? And what can be different in the future? So you kind of just hold this model lightly as you explore with your partner their intention, using open and closed questions to kind of deepen that. What is their intention and how it can be different? I'm just curious if that's okay. Are we good with that? Okay, great. So
yes, we're good.
Okay, so you all got your intention. And so the idea is for you to be able to, I'm going to put you into breakout rooms again. And then, yeah, and I'm going to put you into groups of 3. So what will happen is two people will be the mentor and the mentee. And then you just take a time to actually explore, decide whose intention you're going to explore. So it's okay. So like, or do you say, okay, this is my intention. This is what I would like to explore. Then decide who's going to be the mentor. And then what you're doing in that space, you're just asking questions. You're listening deeply. You're trying to understand what the intention really is by questioning, forming it out to really kind of get to a point where you're articulating, okay, that's my intention. That's what I would like to be different. Then the third person is the witness. And that third person is listening to the conversation from the place of the heart or the mind or the body. And then they can feed back what they hear and what they see and how they feel when they hear the conversation between the two people. So we'll do one round and then we'll come back and see how that is. So what I'm going to do is, I think, let's give this 10 minutes. So you go into your room, you decide who's going to be the mentor, who's going to be the mentee, and who's going to be the witness. And then the person obviously is the mentee, and the mentor can ask the mentee, okay, are you ready to tell us what your issue is, challenges, or what you would like to be different? Then the mentee will say, okay, this is what the issue is. And then the mentor, through a process of just like asking open questions, closed questions. And a nice open question is to start off the ball rolling. So why is that your intention? Why is it important to you? What do you think will be different? So it's those open questions might be a nice way of just getting into the conversation. And then the third person's listening to the conversation, seeing what they see. And then maybe at the end of the session, then the third person can feed back what they saw, what they felt, and what they heard. Are those instructions clear enough? Because I'm notorious for giving bad instructions. Are we good at that? Yeah, Reggie?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So how many got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So Raymond, just do me a favor, don't count me in. Just you.
14. It's Nikki, eh?
Yeah. Sorry, I dropped you a direct note. I've got to drop off a client meeting quickly and I'll be back. So just don't put me in the group. Sorry.
All right. So you're going to leave now?
Yeah, I have to. It's at 11:30. I'll be back just now.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then leave the meeting, and then when I assign groups, you won't get assigned.
Go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Ciao.
Okay. Go well. Bye-bye. So I only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, great. So that's 12. Okay, got it. Let me make these.
So do you I want to know who's got the interesting background noise and why.
It's Raymond.
Oh, no, it's a rooster. It doesn't stop, yeah. They're the worst, sure. Where's the, oh, yeah, we go. So that's 12 of us, so, okay, wait, recreate. Just doesn't stop, eh? So I need to make 3 threes and 9, 4 rooms, I say. Here we go, recreate. Okay, great. Okay, see you now. And 10 minutes, yeah? I'll open them all. Margie Dorcas. So Marjorie, you haven't joined. Are you around? And there we go. Alondeka as well. Dorcas. Alondeka, you around? Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. 22. Do it for 10 minutes. I don't know. Okay. This shouldn't be there. She's quite
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh. Okay, sure. I'm curious. How was that?
Why is it 10 minutes though? I don't believe it was 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't believe it was.
It too short. I don't believe it was 10
minutes.
That's good.
That was 4 minutes.
That was 10 minutes, even 11 actually. So. Gosh. Well, that's good. That means that you guys are engaging and you're in. That's lovely. It's lovely to hear. Very nice. So it's good to, because maybe just have a little bit of a quick feedback, because I think it's really helpful to kind of get the sense of what it feels like to be in that position of mentee as well. So what I was hoping was just to get a bit of quick feedback, just to hear from each other a little bit what happened, and then go back and then maybe choose somebody else to be the mentee and then the mentor and the witness. So does anybody want to describe to share with the group what happened, how it was, what did they learn?
I think I'll go.
Thanks,
we were in a group, and I think with Londeka and Carmen. So I was the one asking. So I was the mentor, and I was asking Londeka. So I think our experience was quite emotional. I'm still trying to calm myself down from it because of the reason that she's going through what I've been through last year with my mother being very ill and having to go through chemo and stuff like that. So it was intense. I think we tapped into the deepest of our emotions there. And the more I questioned her, the more I also felt like I shouldn't, because I know how she's feeling on the other side. But I also knew that it's helping her to open up and to talk about it, because it's not so easy to come out and speak about such a situation where you don't really feel like you have help around. So yeah, it was a great experience. And I think most of our questions from the example you provided were very open-ended, where she could really explain and let us know what's happening. And she was also very open to answering them. So yeah, that was our experience, but the emotions were heavy.
Focus, thanks for that sharing. Yeah.
Okay, as was said, it didn't feel like 10 minutes. It really didn't feel like 10 minutes. It felt like less, because we just explored intensively each of the intentions that we have set, all three of us, before deciding on the one that we went on, because there's a common thread, and that being the one that is on the professional front. And we then discussed it in terms of, when it comes to our professional selves and what we are bringing to the table, what are the gaps that we have realized when we self-introspect and reflect. And I think more than anything, Raymond, it's about the vulnerability of it. Vulnerability in terms of expectation more than anything else. The expectation when you sit at the table is that you are this, wholesome person that already has it figured out. Whilst, when Ibusi puts it and say, on the technical side, this is what I still want in terms of my repertoire and what I want to be exposed to. Me volunteering and saying, 3 months before I joined E4, I was just, going through LinkedIn, and I saw there was an offer for HR executives to be mentored, and I put my hand up, only to find out that I fall into a group of about 80 people that want to be mentored. People wouldn't expect someone on the executive level to still be seeking that. I've been mentored twice, like Maj said. Some of us get lucky that you get to be mentored all throughout, and some, in different organizations, depending on what they have. So I then said, I then volunteered myself, and now I'm in a mentorship circle, it's called, of about 80 people, but the 7 in a group. And Swazi then said, that's the thing, when you need to get insights that will enable us to deliver for E4. How do we sit on a table, on a mentor table, on an exco table, and say that, we are now equipped in order to participate on this table, as well as, deliver appropriately. So it's in the circles that you put yourself in, because professional development, like I said earlier, doesn't stop. But it's not only your vets and your Stellenbosch and your UJ. Some of it you have to, approach a grant as a person and say, Grant, I'd like to, bounce this off you, approach a Nick and say, this is what I saw, because the opportunities are there, and some people might not realize that, these are the people that have done what you are doing right now, and it might be just easy to get this insight, to get this type of mentorship happening in a space that is, you know, readily available. So for us, it was really that, and we were still exploring that when the clock chimed, or the rooster, when the rooster calling us back. So we were exploring that, and we then said at the end of our session that, you know what, we'll explore this further in terms of just, you know, talking about this. And because at the end, all of us are just saying we want to deliver for ESO. And this will help our professional careers.
It's so exciting, you know, because when you're speaking, I just imagine, you know, we talk about peer mentorship, and there's no reason why two of you can just set up a time, sit down together and say, look, take me through the equip model. Let me go through the steps, and how fruitful that can be. And that's such an amazing resource all of a sudden. That really makes it's quite exciting. Definitely. Wow.
I'll go next. Definitely the 2 minutes that we spent, because it literally felt like 2 minutes, Raymond. With Adri and Kaiba. I think I'd like to explore conversation further with Adri, because I have put a scenario to her and she would like to assist me with it. Yeah, it's around my career and a challenge that I have. But the first part of the solution she's given me, I think it's sound, and I'd like to probably explore it deeper. But I think it will help if I have a follow-up with her to explore it deeper, because she did indicate that says that she wants to sit down as well, and we can look at it together. So yeah, I take on that challenge from Adri.
So Adri, were you the mentor? And how was that for you?
I was, and yeah, it's Marjorie posed an interesting challenge, and quite a complicated one, because it's a multifaceted challenge. And I think that, you know, my observation of the process is that it actually takes quite a bit of time to understand the challenge to its fullest. And, you know, one shouldn't try and force the process by trying to just, you know, look at it from a singular perspective. Because once you understand the challenge in holistically, then you can always say, okay, well, today we're going to focus on this, and let's try and work on that. And then maybe next time we'll focus on that, and so on. Because these things touch on each other, and you know, sometimes maybe it's more complicated than what it initially appears. So I did feel that, you know, it took a long time to identify the challenge, and I don't necessarily feel we're all the way through it, but I think it wasn't so I don't want to say it's not as difficult, because it is a difficult situation, but it wasn't that difficult for me to engage with, you know, Marjorie. I obviously know Marjorie from work and all that, but, you know, I felt like very much when she posed the challenge, I felt that I was engaged, and I felt for myself, I feel like I want to assist, and I want to help. And I do feel that you know, that intent of wanting to be engaged goes a long way in terms of the process, because you know, it's always about authenticity as well. And I strongly believe that if you are tapped into your own authenticity, then other people will experience that as well, and that will obviously, hopefully, make sure that the connection between the two people are stronger.
Beautiful. So it's such a nice learning, definitely. So it's like the intention and the authenticity are key, definitely, because the person, they feel it, the kids feel it, you know, like as Reggie was saying, they just know, like, yeah, this person actually is here for me. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add one more thing. Whilst you mentioning this, I was kind of contemplating when I would add it, and not to detract from the conversation that we're having at the moment, but there is a lot of that at the moment, you know, with the children not feeling as, you know, feeling that they're alone, and especially off the back of COVID. And it's not that something that I say only because of my own personal observation, but we were given a letter from my daughter's school principal the other day that, you know, that stated the challenges that teachers are experiencing at the moment because of the impact of COVID on children and parents as well. And I do feel that, you know, I feel passionately that this is such an important role, that even if you can assist one child, you know, to feel like that they belong, or that somebody cares about them, it's, you know, it makes a huge difference. So I just wanted to add that too. Thanks.
I could just feel everything inside me just like is like agreeing. It says yes, like, yeah, it's right, it's true. It's like this is such important work. It really is. It's so important, especially after COVID. And you're right, a lot of schools, a lot of children are coming back feeling quite isolated and alone and unable to connect because they have, you know, they haven't had yeah. So you're right. Does anybody who was your witness? Who was the witness between Marjorie and yourself, Audrey?
I was the witness.
Oh, okay. So what did you see?
I think for me, it was definitely interesting to see, you know, someone, to see it live, someone come to you with a problem, and then the other person give a solution that sort of comforts that person with the problem. And I think it's just such a nice reminder, because I mentioned earlier, you feel like, am I competent enough for this? Can I really do something of value? But just knowing that if you listen to someone and you're there and you give your perspective, it can really, you know, make a difference. For Marjorie to now say she wants to take this offline and take it further because she spoke and she felt heard, and she now thinks that this person can at least get me to where, you know, I needed to be, because they were able to give their perspective from the outside looking in. So that was very interesting to see.
Ah, lovely. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like you feel like just like it's almost like you're on the, like, so I want to get going. I want to do this. I want to do this. It's nice. It's good. Sure.
Okay, I'll go, right?
Yeah, Jen. Yeah, Reggie.
You know, when you talk about being in the field, mine was very interesting. I was the mentee. The interesting thing is that my mentor struggles with exactly the same thing that I struggle with.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, you're right.
So it was quite great, because then you almost, you feel like you know, she gets me. She understands my problem. I don't have to delve too much into it. You know, we spoke about various options of solutions to solve the problem, with which a lot of which I have tried and she has tried. So it was a matter of, you know, this I've tried, that I've tried. But there was one that I haven't really tried that she came up with the solution, which is fantastic. And I think I'm going to try it, you know, and see if it works for me. So I think that was very fascinating. So the moral of the story is that, you know, as much as she's tried things, she's still struggling with the same thing, because it just changes. So we'll try and help each other out and see if anything works. We'll advise each other. So yeah, no, that was very fun. It was great. I mean, you know, she understood exactly what I suffer from, what I struggle with.
And then to be in the space of the mentor, how did you experience yourself in that space?
Sorry. Yeah.
it doesn't come naturally to me. I'm generally the one to go to other people with my challenges and problems and say, help me. I think there's always a part of me that doesn't believe I can add value to someone else. And this experience today showed me that, anything as small as a change in behavior or a piece of advice that I have to give can add value to someone else through a shared experience. So it's about realizing the value that we can add to absolutely any conversation and any engagement.
Sure. It's quite empowering just hearing you saying that. It's very.
So I don't want to talk too much, but I want to say one thing. This is Women's Month, so I'm going to say this one thing, Andrea. I think, I've listened to a lot of women speak that are senior leaders in organizations from when I was very young, and I still try and listen to a lot of other women speak. And the ongoing theme that we're always hearing is that women always put themselves down and they don't think that they can, right?
Yep.
And it's so important to realize that just because people seem to know what they are doing doesn't always mean that they know what they're doing. 1, 2, everybody has challenges, and 3, we have to trust who we are as women. I'm going to sound corny now, but it is Women's Month, so I can. We have to trust who we are as women because we have such a unique set of skills that enables us to play this role much or very successfully if we tap into our inner self and ignore all of these messages that we keep giving to ourselves that we're not good enough. So, Raymond, I know I forced the point, but thanks for allowing me anyway.
No, it's a really important point. I would generalize it as well to include guys as well, but it's Women's Month. We're just better at faking it. Yeah, for sure. So I said we were going to break at 12, so it's always good to kind of keep to your word. So the plan is to go for lunch and then get back at 1 and then finish off the model for number 2. So I see Regis saying it's a lovely point, Audrey, so it's good. So are we okay to close for an hour and then we come back again then at 1 o'clock? Okay, thanks very much. I'm enjoying this. It's great. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready. So would we really kind of like to bring everything together in a way of just kind of summarizing today and setting out, kind of wrapping everything up at the end of your mentoring session? Is you kind of so Nikki, when you were doing your work, and at one point you kind of summarized up where you'd been through, what needs to take place, and what's the steps going forward. It was a nice way of doing exactly that. Like at the end of it, just okay, this is where we come from, this is how we pulled it together, and this is what we're going to be going forward to, and then getting like an agreement. So that was really not well done. I like that. So maybe just to kind of, if you want to, and feel free, maybe just to like go around and just say, okay, this is my commitment, this is my plan, this is my next step, and then like share it with the group. And it's almost like, when you're going to give up smoking, then you tell everybody I'm going to give up smoking, and so that it kind of makes you do it. So it like crystallizes a little bit more. So let's give it a go. So who would like to kick off the just to like to summarize? Okay, this is my next step. Who feels like kicking off the ball? I'm not going to ask Pussy because she started off the last role. So maybe for Kile, thing you do was.
It had to be me.
Yes.
All right. Firstly, thank you so much for the session. I enjoyed it like I did the last one. I think for me, so the previous exercise that we did just highlighted some personal stuff, on my own journey as we're going through the exercise. And my commitment from here, and Busi and Marge are going to hold me accountable, is to lose weight.
Oh, geez. Big one. Yes, that is a big one. Well done. Good.
Finally.
So then what is your next step? What are you going to do now?
So my next step is to join a WhatsApp group that Busi is going to set up for me, her, and Marjorie to keep each other accountable.
Stunning. Stunning. Very, very good. Yes, yes. And it meets all those requirements. It's measurable, it's smart, it's organized, it's done. Perfect. Lovely.
Yes.
Can I join?
Yes.
Come on.
No, not Andrea. Andrea, please.
No pressure, Andrea.
I'm
Okay.
here to offer advice and to get you out of bed.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea, but no pressure.
No pressure whatsoever.
It's a lifetime journey for me and Marge, okay?
I'm here to be your biggest cheerleaders.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Ray.
That's good. Yeah, sure. Maybe I should do a coaching thing on losing weight. It could be fun. So who would like to go next? Or do you want to nominate someone?
Yeah.
So I can go. Oh, sorry, Fikile. So for me, I think the reflection point, in particular, I think with the previous exercise that we did, is just coming to a realization that you actually, in some instances, you do have the resources. It's just that you're not using the resources to your advantage to help you achieve the goal. So that was very interesting. So I think, with the tools that we've learned, as much as we're going to be helping the girls, they're going to help us as well in terms of developing in the different spaces in our lives. So it was really good to learn them because they will definitely come in handy. Thank you.
But Busi, just in terms of recognizing your resources and connecting with them, so what can you do differently to connect with one of those resources that they're there, but you don't rely on them?
Yeah, so I think I've come to a realization that, I need to prioritize, my time and prioritize using those resources in the journey of realizing my goal. So,
that's good.
So it's
nice.
Prioritization, sure.
Good, thanks, Busi. I appreciate it. Who would you like to go next, Busi? You can nominate somebody.
Okay, I would like to nominate Sipokazi.
Okay. Funny, I actually also I've really enjoyed this session. I'm gonna put across 3 points that touched me. Firstly, I'm sorry, Ray, to go. It's firstly to actually appreciate what we have, because, for instance, I had a great grandmother that I lost last year. She died at 102. Wow. My kids have great grandparents that visit us often. So it's really an appreciation of where we are. And reflecting back on the previous exercise as well, Dorcas, as we went through it with Nikki, so it was me and Nikki and Dorcas. And, as Nikki was asking me the challenges and how I think, I can tackle them better, I realized that as much as I was saying that, yes, everyone is there to help me, but I just think I have the anxiety of starting it. It actually isn't so heavy when you start looking at what the goal is, because I had my challenges up on top. And Dorcas was like, but this looks so heavy. It shouldn't be this heavy. And it isn't really. Once you look at the goal and where you're trying to go, it's quite a relief to actually say, okay, actually you want good things here. So please take them by bits. So one of the things that I'm more specific about now is I said insights on E4 and where it's going. I want to actually have intentional coffees, so when you see me wanting to have coffee with you just for 5 minutes, it's intentional. Anyone in this platform, because I think it really will help get an understanding of the people that you work with, as also getting an understanding of the business. And it's quite attainable because I think E4 is an open door policy. I think everyone seems to be, open and ready to have a conversation and just, chat. And obviously have a chat with intention of where you're trying to find out something or, what you're trying to do. But I love the fact that they're open to having those conversations. And it's relevant because we are growing in our careers and we're growing in who we are. And so actually it being relevant is for growth more than anything for me. And to actually take a step back and actually reflect that you are actually growing as a person, because I think you go by your day every day not realizing that actually, when you were in the graduate program, you really didn't know a lot. And now you're a little bit better, but we grow as everyone else does. And yeah, so it's time bound. So I'm giving myself 6 months. Giving myself 6 months, I'm going to try and have intentional coffees. Yeah, that's me. And it was inspired by Busi's coffee, actually.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to quickly hop into an Uber to go fetch my son. But for me, it's literally that being intentional around the space that is E4. So I'm just literally just pulling from guys. It's so easy to get, and this is a cautionary note that I got from Pigile as I joined, to get drowned in some of the noises when we walk this corporate corridors. So for me, it's to, intentionally try and drown out some of the noises that might be counterproductive and literally just get to, and this program this afternoon was literally, very beneficial because then the question, it will be so easy to just say, and then, because it's so easy to just take things at face value when people tell you stuff about an environment that you've just walked into. So it's basically to just, interrogate and get to the factual. That's what I want to be intentional about. You're on mute, Raymond.
You're on mute, Ray.
No, thank you, Pilar. It was good. It's nice to hear that intentionality. It's important. It's a clear intentionality. Marjorie, would you like to go?
Yeah. Just a comment. I think the last session that we did, that systematic pizza story, as much as I was a mentor and Busi was a mentee trying to look into the obstacle, it literally made me discover that the approach we used, like Figil alluded, I've always had a goal of losing weight. I've just failed dismally at it. I don't know for the last how many years. And I kind of like gave up to say this is unattainable, to be honest with you. But as we were going through the exercise, I think there was an aha moment that says you need support. It's not really about it can be done. So it's interesting when you look at an obstacle that's already become a mountain and you end up giving up. And Busi came up with the simplest of suggestions. I said, I'll help you, support you guys, you know, and I'll be your cheerleaders. I think maybe I needed to hear that from someone in my past. I don't know. I just never got there to try to do it on my own. And yeah, but there's a plan, just a high level one for me, that I'd like to start a new hobby that I've been looking at. Some people might look at it as like, it's not really much, but you know, gardening, I've always looked at my mom doing gardening and how much peace it brings into her life. And I just never liked it at all. And now I've got a home that I'm faced with a garden that was not tended. And I'm like, okay, this thing is looking at me right in my face. I have to make a decision to do something about it. But yet I don't want somebody else to do it. I'd like it to be me. I've got an older son. So I'm in a predicament of, I don't have someone that I'm going to sing lullaby to go to bed. I'm faced up with myself at all levels now because it's a 23-year-old that wants to have his life. Now I'm on my own. So I'm literally finding myself having such free time sometimes that I'm like, what do I fill my free time with? There's things I wanted to do in my life that I was afraid to do. Yeah, so I've got a plan to want to start gardening. I have started, difficult as it is. I just need a proper now plan and a schedule, which I've put it together now high level. That I'm not to pick a day which I have, and during the week I gotta put some time off to do certain things because I wanna go a vegetable patch as well. Something different from what I do from work. So yeah, for me, that's two things, Raymond, that I've come up with today. Lose the weight process is starting and I'm taking on the challenge. And doing the gardening, I'm gonna literally put my all as well into that one. So yeah. So that's what I've learned. The journey is interesting that we try and look at someone else's obstacle and I have my own that I never wanted to explore. And as Busi was talking and talking and talking, I started actually even thinking about my one to say, but hang on, I've got the same challenge as Busi, but differently. And some of the suggestions that are coming up can work for me as well. So as a mentor, so I'm starting to see that being a mentor, we're going to get mentored by mentees at times on the things that they say, which is so powerful. So I'm looking forward to this journey. I've never mentored a young person, except for my son and some people in my family. It's very, very interesting to mentor somebody else different. And because I'm literally looking forward to the conversations that's going to come out there, you know, so yeah.
Love, a nice way to end. Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. And you have a big resource in your garden, your mom.
Yeah, my mom is there. No, I've got the tools. It's funny that the tools are all there. I've been buying them, but I've been packing them in the Wendy house and saying, I'm going to start, and I never get to start. So after listening to today's session, I have to start. It's a decision made. And yeah, the question is when, how, and time, you know, so yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else? Who'd like to go next?
I've got 2 minutes before I need to leave for my next meeting.
Yeah, so please.
The little nugget of information, if I can explain it in 2 minutes, is I've just turned the big 40. I know that sounds really old to some people here. And I've created a list for myself of 41 things that I would like to accomplish before my 41st birthday. Let me find a picture of it. The last thing on the list is probably the most difficult. For me, particularly with my personality, it says I need to be able to sell myself and actually believe what I'm selling. So it goes to Audrey's comment of earlier, in us women not believing in ourselves. I have set myself a year to try and accomplish that and actually truly believe in my skills and my abilities and mainly my ability to add value. So everyone can hold me accountable to that. My friends are holding me accountable to the other 40 things on the list, but I'll make it a work challenge to get everyone to hold me accountable to that last thing.
So thanks for that, because that's quite a vulnerable challenge. So thank you for putting yourself out there like that.
The rest are all frivolous. That's the serious one.
Wow. Okay. See, a lot of hands are clapping.
Andrea, I'm sure all 40 involve running. Okay.
There are 2 or 3 that involve running. When you see my nose being pierced, know that that's number 26.
Oh. Gee whiz. Thanks. Who would like to go next? Very good.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, so I'm actually on a little bit of a journey from a I don't want to call it a job perspective, but in terms of things that I want to achieve at work. And it's kind of off the back of something that I experienced 6 years ago. And I recently had a discussion with my boss about it, not that specifically, but I realized that it's something that's had a big impact on kind of where I am and how I go about things. So as we were talking today about the unknown, it's like really aligned very well to that specific thing, because that's specifically the thing that tripped me up 6 years ago. And so so my challenge to myself, which I've been starting to work out, but kind of now just being galvanized by the session, is to purposefully put myself in the unknown in order to, I guess, get some of the belief back in my capabilities, not so much from my qualification perspective, but my inherent competencies, if you want to call it that. So I'm definitely on that, and I love the way around how, you know, we've been doing the systematic pizza, and I'm definitely going to apply that and purposefully looking for a number of challenges at work to, you know, to push me into the unknown so that I can practice that.
Oh, thank you.
This year.
That's good. Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, the thing is, you can practice this, like, the sooner you practice it, the better. So even getting home and having a conversation with one of your kids and saying, I learned this at work and we did this thing, let me do the equip model with you. It'll be quite a fun experience. Nice way of actually engaging. Thank you. Andrea's back. The meeting's moved. So who would like to go next? Just seeing Carmen, I think Londeka.
Sorry, hi everybody.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, the last exercise with RG and Londeka basically assisted me also to just find out that I actually do have the tools necessary to do what I need to do in terms of my goal. And I suppose just speaking to somebody assisted me to kind of play it out in my mind, which made me realize that it wasn't as difficult as I was making it out to be in the first place. So I appreciated that quick little chat, which put things into perspective for me.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thanks. And isn't it wonderful in a way to know that you guys have actually really helped each other come to a different place in your life than you were this morning? And you guys did it for each other and with each other. It's really it's a magical gift. It really, really is. Who else? Londeka, do you want to sign off? think we're good. So kind of, we've reached our time. And I'm just aware I'd like to hear everybody's voice. So if you haven't spoken and you want to, you can either put your hand up or you can put your camera on and just maybe just, wrap up for us. There you go. Okay, so if there's no one, I'm happy to wrap it up. Yeah, so, when you talk about being inspired by mentees, and I must say, at the end of today, I'm really feeling inspired by all of you, and learning from you all as well in terms of your passion and your insights, and this idea of intentionality. It's like really stuck with me, and that it's about being intentional that makes a difference. So that's what I take from all of you today, and I really thank you for that. And your openness and your willingness to engage. It's really been quite an incredible journey. And just to kind of reflect on that, like that, starting off holding the container, setting up the trust and the openness to speak and the availability and being present, all of those elements, I think people have really held completely during today. And I think because of that, we are where we are right now. So thank you very much for that. And I look forward to meeting you all again, and then obviously hearing about the next steps, and then finding your feedback when you start working with your mentees. So thank you. And have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Ray. Much appreciated. All the knowledge.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Ray.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys.
Thanks, everyone. Ray,
Thanks, guys. Have a good afternoon.
I'll wait for the recording and the presentation just to share with those. There were a few who couldn't be with us, and obviously those who dropped off a little bit earlier. I think it will be very good for them to get the recording.
Definitely. I'll do that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Such a great
Okay,
session. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
So you'll probably get a pop-up menu that asks if it's okay for the recording to happen. Okay, we got it. Is that fine? Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Let me see where I'm at.